Hey everybody, it's good to see you again. Today I'm here with Mr. Jack Clarke, and I'm really excited to be talking to Jack because Jack has a remarkable story. And so the first thing I want you to know is that we're not diagnosing anybody, we're not treating anybody, we're not giving anybody any recommendations outside of any medical claims. Like I'm just sharing a story with you today that's a really, really powerful story, in my opinion. Just my 2 cents here. So, Jack, I'm not even going to begin to try to explain the different layers of things that you've overcome and the remarkability that you've seen in your own body. I'm just going to let you start where you want and share your story with people.
All right. I'm always happy to do that. I didn't think I would be able to do that at one point in my life. I had some radiation 11 years ago for some abnormal cells in my prostate area. And I was doing fine. I thought everything was going along just great until a year later on Christmas Day, we were at our daughter's house and the most god-awful pain hit me in that area that I've ever felt in my life. I cannot describe to you the agony that I went through for 4 months. No painkiller would touch it. Nothing worked. I lay in bed screaming and frankly praying to die or for a miracle. And thank God a nurse that I knew, her name came down in a newsletter for alternatives to deal with what I was dealing with. And I knew her and I called her. She was with our previous business. And I called her and I said, Barb, my cancer, my abnormal cells are gone. Um, what have you got for pain? She said, I'll tell you the same thing for both. She said, it's called ASEA. And I said, I've read about that. It's nothing but salt water. She said, Jack, you've known me for 10 years. Your body makes it out of salt water, but it's not salt water anymore. I'm telling you, get on it. So just to humor her, because I was desperate, I got on it. But I took the minimum amount because I'm a guy and I'm cheap and didn't notice anything. So I quit taking it after a month. And thank God for my wife. She looks at me and she says, you still taking that stuff? That's what they called it in those days, the stuff. And I said, no, it didn't work. She said, yes, it did. You're different. At that point, I had to stand on a walker and rock from side to side just to eat. And I'd take the fork, and as I'd rock by, I'd stick the fork in my mouth. That's how awful the agony was. And I wasn't rocking as much. And she saw that. And she said, you're different, get back on it. And 2 weeks later, the pain was gone. And so we had semi-retired from our previous business. We had a huge worldwide organization in that previous business. We were with a company called Nikken, Nikken, and we'd risen to the top level there, and we had 20,000 people, 18 diamonds, Lord knows how many platinums and all that sort of stuff underneath us. But the management had changed, and the bean counters took over, and they ruined it. They took an $800 million company down now to $60 million. And so we had sort of backed away. We weren't going to do any more of that kind of business anymore. But that's what this was, a network marketing opportunity. And a year later, some friends came in from out of town that we knew from that other company. And on the third day, Sherry is very intuitive. She looks at him and she says, you're doing something else. He said, yeah, but you're not going to like it. I've gone with that ASEA company. And I looked him in the eye and I said, Chris, you don't know this, but their stuff saved my life. Tell us about the business. So we flew out to the headquarters. We met every single one of the executives. We weren't going to get hosed like we were with that previous company. And they were all wonderful people and welcomed us with open arms. I mean, it was just stunning to feel wanted again, quite frankly, because we weren't at that other company. And so we went home, resigned from that other company. Kind of stupid. We should have sold that business, but we were so mad we didn't want to stick anybody else with their bad management. So we resigned after 23 years, an enormous success. And actually, we made $5 million there, and we helped 14 people make over 1 million. And it's one of our proudest achievements, quite frankly, is to help people make money in our industry. One of the things that people get worried about in this industry is you don't make any money. Well, if you get around us, we'll figure out a way for you to make money because we're really good at that. And by the way, I'll be 84 this year. The side effects of this stuff, it's anti-aging. I'll show you a picture in a minute of Sherry, who will be 80 in October. She looks like she's in her 40s. So here's a thing that helped my body deal with a very difficult issue, which, by the way, I still deal with. I still have that issue 21 years later. It is under control. It is contained. There's no word in the doctor's vocabulary about containing my issue. But I've learned the hard way how to contain it. And the main way I contain it is this crazy drink that I thought didn't do anything. And of course, now it's done all kinds of things. My scars are all gone. I used it to lubricate a catheter when I had to pee, and those scars are gone. I don't have to catheterize anymore. And, I had a huge open chest wound here because they had to go into my heart and go after a heart infection that I had 7 years ago. And if I hadn't been on a half a bottle a day of this stuff, I would be dead. And a great surgeon reconstructed my heart that night and personally poured antibiotics into the infection just to get rid of it before he closed me up. And you can't even see the scar. I mean, it's just gone. And how does your body deal with scars? Naturally. How does your body deal with any varmint? Naturally. And it's these redox signaling molecules that saved my bacon. I mean, I don't mean this to be a commercial, but I'm just trying to educate people. I want people to know it's out there, and none of my doctors are curious about it. They can't understand why I'm alive and don't want to know why. And that is sickening.
I'm glad you brought that up because when I reached out and I was like, Jack, we gotta do an interview because I want people to hear your story. You had just gotten done talking about the only way that you're going to trust your next cardiologist.
True.
And how are you going to go about choosing your next cardiologist?
My next one is going to either want to know what I'm doing to be alive at my age with what I've gone through and be willing to be educated because they're not going to hear it from a drug rep. You see, this company has patents and about 100, I think 1,500 intellectual properties now on how they make this outside the body. And they take it and manufacture it in that facility that we went to visit. And they've actually made it stronger over the years. They've actually made it less expensive over the years, all kinds of wonderful things they do. And they also have a wonderful charity called Advancing Life Foundation, which we give to, and they match every gift that we make. So they're very, very planet conscious, which is important to me. They are very, very spiritually driven, which is important to me. And, we came out of retirement. We made over $5 million at that other company. And so far, we've only made about, I think, over 500,000 here, but then we're older. We don't travel like we used to. We had COVID, which completely bombed everything out, and that's what got us to using Zoom, which I love. I mean, I wouldn't trade Zoom for anything now. We just got off 2 worldwide Zooms. There was training our group in one of the Zooms, and as a education for the other one, we have a doctor now that does wonderful presentations for us. And Sherry educated him on the technology 9 years ago, and he went ballistic.
The call today was about why doctors choose Redox, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So selfishly, I got to be honest here with everyone, right? Like I brought Jack on here because his passion for his next cardiologist, understanding what Redox is. The medical system isn't evil. Like your own success, right? Like, is again, you're just a great person for me to be talking to about this, because you've had success because of Western medicine. I compound fractured my femur. I had success because of Western medicine, right? So I want other people to realize that if they advocate for themselves, then we can change the system, because the people who are part of the system will start to have a different level of education,
Right.
and how we can support one another, and we can have this better health, because I want ethical, ecological, and empathetic business practices.
Yep.
Right? Like, if I believe humanity will do what humanity knows to do, if the right people will step up into the leadership positions, investing in, working for, creating into systems that just do wonderful things for everybody having unique gifts in our world, right? Not have to control everything, not have to figure, it's just outdated emotional intelligence at this stage of life, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
And so I'm really grateful that you chose to come here today and share this knowledge and information and stuff that you've experienced, because it's it's just this big system that's this like clog in the notch of making things change, right? But if all the people who can watch this video now know to go talk to their professionals and make sure that their professionals know about redox molecules and what it does for us at a cellular level, everything begins to change. I watched this company for 8 years because I was fascinated by it, but I was too cheap to pay for it. Same thing. And then even when I signed on, I, here and there a little bit, but I was too cheap to go a little bit, above and beyond and dose myself. And Sherry kept saying, if you're not noticing things, if you want to notice things, if you want to speed things up, you have to take more.
Yep.
She's like, just trust me, you have to take more. And she would talk about how much you drink.
Yep.
And I was like, that's just like, it feels so sales skimmy. Like, I got to get more of it. Right.
Yep.
And at the same time, when I did it, like, I'm blown away at how my body's detoxing. I've been detoxing for 10 plus years of being like, oh, I got to get better at this, and I got to get better at this, and I got to get better at this. But when I started putting the liquid drops in my eyes, when I started applying the gel to the weakness areas, I found hormonal balances of going down to the privates of being like, hey, let's improve some hormones and see what happens. Right? Areas where I would always feel a little bit more clogged in my lymph that I could start to pay attention to. I've had a bad tooth that has been an experiment for me for years, because I've never been sure of what I can believe on the internet or what my dentist tells me. So just been playing with like the redox molecules all along my face where I know I've got issues going on. And like, my eyes don't stop detoxing when I wake up every morning. And sometimes randomly throughout the day, it'll be like some crusties again. And I know it's since I started taking increasing amounts of this supplement. And it
Yep.
blows my mind as to like listening to the genetic study and how it improves 15 pathways in the body, right? Like, I'm so grateful that you and Sherry reached out to me to be like, what's going on with you? And I shared my neurology background, and you guys were like, let's talk with Dr. Mark.
Yep.
And we hopped on the call, and now having 4 or 5 months of this experience myself,
Yeah.
I'm just really grateful. Thank you,
Dr.
Jack.
Mark just had an amazing experience himself. And I'll tell you about the eyes. I was so desperate to get rid of that pain that I went to a hospital hyperbaric chamber and had a whole series of treatments for the pain. And my 2010 vision was ruined. I've had to wear glasses because it was about 2040 now, but it's getting better and better as I use the drops in my eyes, and my floaters are gone. I haven't had to have cataract surgery, which I was getting ready to have. And it's just crazy, all the beneficial side effects that come with it. And by the way, there are no bad side effects. I will tell you another thing. When they did the MRI for my heart infection, they saw growths on my thyroid, and went in and did a biopsy and they found there were abnormal cells in the thyroid. And I said, give me 90 days. I want to rub the gel and a more powerful version called the serum on that thyroid. And I did it for 90 days and they did another MRI. The growths were still there. And my doctor at that time was Dr. Robertson Ward, who wrote the book on these molecules, Healthy Cells, Healthy Life, one I highly recommend. Dr. Ward, I'd known for 20 years from that previous company. And I called him. I said, Rob, um, you know, what would you do? I said that the growths are still there according to the MRI. He said, Jack, they should take it out because those could go bad on you. And I'll give you a natural thyroid for the rest of your life. It's called NP-throid. And so they took it out and sent it to pathology. The doctor couldn't believe the results, and so he sent the tissue a second time because there were no abnormal cells in my perfectly normal thyroid they took out. And so I have one medication virtually that I take regularly, which is NP-throid, because I don't have a thyroid. But the fact of the matter is, well, I'll show you another one. Can I share my screen?
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That is an abnormal cell skin growth that I've had lots of. It begins with a SQ, if you want to kind of fill in the blanks there. And the doctor that I went to said, I'm going to make a 2-inch cut on your arm just before Christmas and stitch it up. And I said, no, you won't. I'm going to put that more advanced serum on it and one other natural product. And by the way, Joe, I use other natural products. It's not just this stuff. This stuff is the backbone of what I use, but I have a whole protocol that I will share with anybody that I have developed over 21 years. But that is the same area at Christmas. Exact same place. Gone.
Love it.
So, and by the way, I love to share pictures because this lady was dying. She was a good friend of ours from that other company. She had a brain issue that just was absolutely destroying her entire life. And that's her 5 months later on this stuff. I mean, I can go on and on and on. I have pictures.
Show Scott. There's his eyes right there.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, Scott. Wait a second. There he is.
He was right below her.
There he is.
So Scott's the gentleman that I watched for 4 years, just basically anti-age in front of me on Facebook. And so I always tell people I was watching the company for 8 years, but there's a guy that I watched for 4 years on Facebook just post about how he experiments with his body. And it's like, that's what I do, right? And
Yep.
then he would talk about the different levels and how he would use the gel, and he was using the drops in his eyes and everything. So I think that's what the picture is right below.
It is. That's what I want to show
Is
you.
his eyes.
Well, look at the face. See the lines? Gone. See up here the creases?
Yeah.
Much reduced. And look at how much clearer the eye is over here than it is over here. I mean, it's the thing that I love is people that will get on this stuff and do what we tell them. Don't be like me, because I was stubborn and I didn't take enough and I didn't take it long enough. We tell people take it for 90 days. You know what they have? I don't know if you even know this, Joe. We didn't until recently. They have a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee, but they also have a 90% money back guarantee over 90 days. So if you take it for 90 days, all you're going to lose is 10% of your money if you don't notice anything. And the reason they do that is they've noticed that most people get results within 90 days. Something is noticeable if they'll take the recommended dosage. I mean, we've got dogs. Here's a dog. This is a dog in Singapore that was bit by a cobra. See that?
Mm-hmm.
That's that same dog a few weeks later. They just rub the gel where the cobra.
I was just gonna say gel.
It's just crazy. I mean, that's what, when you get a burn, this is a terrible burn. And I don't remember how many days it was, but it's all cleared up. I love collecting stuff like this. This is a a massive toe issue, a kind of athlete's foot thing, and that's better. I mean, you just I mean, let me see what else how do you fool a baby? I mean, here's this baby. See the stuff coming out of its eyes? Not here.
Hmm.
It's gone. Here's this is my wife's leg. Okay. Just before I had the heart infection, she knocked her leg against a steel shelving that my neighbor had given me that I had stored in a storeroom, and she just stumbled into it and ripped her leg open. That's the leg. And as soon as that happened, I said, start pouring ASEA into it, which she did on the way to the hospital and continued to do in the emergency room. The doctor comes into the emergency room and he says, what are you doing, lady? And she told him, and he said, wow, the bleeding has stopped. I mean, keep it up. And it took him about an hour to come in and stitch it up. And there are the stitches. And Sherry said, where were you gone that whole hour? He said, well, I was looking this stuff up online. So there's the scar a couple of years ago, practically gone. The thing that I love is that the body knows how to heal itself. And this is nothing but the raw material, the signal molecules that tell the body what to do, where to do, when to do it. And they don't need any intelligence. They have their own innate intelligence, and they go and do the job for you. You just got to get them into your body. And that's the hardest part of what we do, is getting people to get it into their body. So anyway, I have all kinds of things that I love to share with people. And one of the things that I'm always excited about is when you see little kids that are not given much hope, all kinds of kids on the spectrum, kids with massive scarring on their necks and all that sort of thing, get a life back. I mean, that's a gift. And,
Hmm.
and to get paid for it, wow. I mean, the thing I don't understand is why more people don't go help other people and get paid for it and even pay for their own products just by referring people. I mean, Sherry and I will talk to them. We'll talk to anybody. And Sherry Tez, we were just on the call, and we were trying to estimate how many people I've had say no to me. And I think it's probably about 5,000 because I talk to everyone. Why? Because I want them educated. No drug rep is ever going to educate their doctors. That's why I want to educate health professionals, and why Dr. Mark has his Monday health professionals briefing every single Monday at 2:30 Eastern time, which Joe can get you on if you want to learn more. And they're all recorded. And he's got about a year's worth of them on there now. And he takes a different system of the body each time. He talks about the nervous system or the cardiovascular system or the brain, or all kinds of areas of the body. And he has really brilliant slides that go along with it. He's really gifted. And so I encourage people that want to know more, um, check that out too. There's all kinds of research. When we got in, there was only a drink. There were no studies. There was nothing out there. Just trusting that nurse. Now we got studies out the yin yang, got two more going on right now as we speak. Their universities come to us to ask to study this stuff. We used to have to beg them to study it. And now they come to us. Why? Because they hear that it works from somebody. And they go, we got to know more about this. And you see, the problem is it'll never be a traditional med. It almost was. This company was founded by a founder who had a drug company offer him millions and millions and millions of dollars for the patents and the intellectual property. But he had a problem. He's a very spiritual man, and he said, you know what? I'm not going to take the people off of this that are on it, because you're going to make me do that, aren't you? And the drug company said, yes, we are. He said, I can't do that to them. Thank you very much. Put them on an airplane, send them home. He goes to his son, Tyler, and he says, I don't know how to do this. I got to figure out a way to get the word out. Tyler says, you probably ought to just do it word of mouth like Jesus did. Not Jesus, but his disciples. And the fact of the matter is, that's how it's done, word of mouth. And that's the way we operate. And it comes from the heart, not from the wallet. Now, do we have a good pay plan? Oh, yeah. You know, as I said, we made over 500,000 already. And so we really want people to know this is out there. And I want to keep doing this till I'm 100 and something,
I
you
gotta
know?
tell you, I gotta tell you something here. And I will get it. There's links below this video, I'm sure. And if you want any of the additional resources, if you want to really get nerdy about it, I'm happy to hook you up with anything that you need. Like Jack, he's
By all
always
means.
jump on a call, super great guy, very giving. And but later today, I'm going to do spinal flow technique. Are you familiar?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
I watched a video of it and I was like, I want to try this. Like, how do I find a practitioner? So I did their little search, I found a practitioner, and then I sent her a message that explains how the spinal fluid moves and the energy of the body, the 33 vertebrae. The Christ is the Christos is the secret is the secretion is our cerebral spinal fluid.
Right.
And so what this technique is it moves the CSF, make it easy to say, CSF up and down our spine, which is what's helping us detox. It's bringing us the nutrition. It's taking care of our brain. And so that's what I'm about to head out of here and go do. So I'm
Yeah.
really
Okay.
excited and looking forward to that. But I thought you'd appreciate that piece.
Well, you know, we still use our magnetic modalities. Okay. I sleep on a magnetic bed. I have a magnetic necklace on. I have a magnet over my heart because when they did the open heart surgery, the surgeon said, this guy's got the arteries of a teenager because I had the magnet over my heart because I eat beef and all other kinds of bad stuff. And the fact of the matter is,
Well,
I'll use anything.
beef is argued whether it's bad or good these days,
No,
carnivore
no,
diet.
it's alternating north and south poles. That makes it good because it's the same as the earth. Like I just got a grounding mat to sleep on, for instance. And so I use the earth's energy, I use the sun's energy, I use the energies that are available to us. I have a Rife machine that I hook up every night. I have a little handheld Rife that Dr. DeBrinket got me. I have all kinds of technologies that I utilize. So this is not the only one, it's just the main one.
I, I'm right there with you. I love using all of the gifts that are now available to us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
ASEA is definitely a gift. So thank you today for showing up and having this conversation with me, Jack.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate being your guest. Let me know if I can help anybody. You know, that's just my thing. I'm the by the way, the mission statement for ASEA, just so you know, it's not about money. Their mission statement is to better people's lives and be a force for good in the world. That is their mission statement, and they believe it. All the executives were just in Africa on an Advancing Life Foundation trip to work with people that we haven't opened those markets. We don't sell in Africa. They just went over there to be of service to humanity. That's the kind of attitude you want with a company if you're going to be associated with them.
Absolutely.
I'll leave it with that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate
Okay,
it.
Joe, have fun on the spinal thing.
Yeah, I will for sure.
Let me know.